Welcome back, D-League. It was a big week last week. We saw the majority of our teams either rise or fall to 1 and 2. This pretty much guarantees that this week we'll be getting some sorting out done, though. Let's kick off the show by taking a look at how I did in picks last week. Motherfucking perfect. Don't question me. Next.
I'm a man. Spell
Jamie put in a real solid effort this week with the polls. He put all of one poll up, which was basically just to see who they thought the loser of the week would be. The results of the poll was clearly Travis. We'll find out soon enough if he was right. Let's take a look now and see who our rapist of the week is. Sad to say, but our rapist of the week this week is Jamie. Jamie did exactly what I thought he would do, and now I'm crowning him for it. Jamie took me to the woodshed for 37.36 points. Thanks, San Diego.
Which of course in German means a whale's vagina.
Stay classy. Let's take a look now and see who our biggest loser is.
Bitch, I'm about to ball this.
IQ of 48 and am what some people call mentally retarded.
He was a retard. I'm a driver, I'm a winner. Things are gonna change, I can feel it.
Only reason I'm crying is because of the adrenaline.
This week we're going to deviate from our typical methods of choosing who the biggest loser is. You're welcome, Adam. You got off the hook this time. I'd like to take a moment and celebrate something that's truly special. Travis has made whack-ass move after whack-ass move, trying to make himself a contender for this year. All to be handed a very predictable beating by the league's worst team. Speaking of Travis losing, $50 make you holla. Travis, you feel good about your odds of winning that $50?
You will never get this. You will never get this. La 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 la. This
week I'm going to start not one but two Oakland Raiders right in your face. This week we have Phillip Rivers taking on Drew Brees. Oh wait, you gave Drew Brees away. This week we have Phillip Rivers taking on Rape Slinger. I would like to say that this is just going to be a straight beating from Rivers, but apparently last week Rivers forgot how to play football, so I'm not real sure which guy is going to show up to Miami this week. I am hopefully optimistic though. Brees shredded Houston's secondary last week, so there's definitely hope there for Big Ben. But unfortunately at wide receiver I do take a fall. Normally Vincent Jackson can hold his own, but unfortunately Kansas City Vincent Jackson? Well, it's pretty much how you think people from Kansas City would be. So this week I'm rolling out my very boom or bust wide receiver duo versus a very suspect New England secondary. This is either going to be a fantastic idea or the worst thing I've done since when I benched Miles Austin for Jacoby Ford. Make no mistake, this is a wild haymaker, and if I miss, I will get shredded by Bolden and Holmes. But at running back, I feel like I take my edge back. Blount should have a good game against Indy. Hopefully he'll run right into the arms of Anger. And I'm always happy to see McCoy take on San Francisco. Hopefully if these guys do their thing, they'll be able to rumble past Starks and my trade gift. At tight end we have Keller, who's continuing to try and convince me that he's legit this year. Taking on Jimmy Graham, who if football doesn't work out, he should definitely go into being a 70s rocker. In the end, I think I'll walk away with this win, because the gods can't hate me that much. Can they? Next up we have Rainbow Warriors taking on ARG. We have a battle of the bottom feeders here. Welcome to our toilet bowl matchup of the week. Technically it's not the worst matchup of the week, but it would be the worst one to follow because both the teams are shitty and the outcome is so easily predictable. Quick, who's off to a worse start? New England secondary or Dave's fantasy team? In the area of quarterback, this is going to be an easy win for Aaron Rodgers, even if Schaub does take on Pittsburgh this week. At wide receiver we have Roddy White, Hakeem Nicks, and Mario Manningham, basically taking on a bunch of former backups. This is where Dave will really start flexing his muscle on Nate. At running back, he continues the party with Turner and Bradshaw. Fred Jackson's about the only person left on Nate's roster that's shown that they're worth looking out for, though. At tight end, it's going to be a very lopsided match, as Falik is taking on Gronkowski. Gronkowski is basically a one-man team. How many points did that fucker score last week? Ridiculous. It's pretty much going to be a long day for Nate, and it's going to be a pretty brutal beating, but luckily he's getting used to it. Next up, we have multiple scoregasms taking on Team Disenfranchised. James' fall from grace isn't quite over yet. This week we'll see him tumble further down the ladder at the hands of our champ. It's actually surprising to me that Jamie's only favored by 20 points in this matchup. The best his team can do is just pray for one hell of a crazy day out of Wes Welker. Again. Luckily the Dexter McCluster experiment continues, so we have something more than James's ego to laugh at. There isn't a position on the entire roster that James isn't completely outmatched at. Next up we have Percy Rule taking on Seppuku. A couple of real titans squaring off this week as number 8 takes on number 9. Stop me if you've heard this before. Colin's success this week lies squarely on the shoulders of Michael Vick. Sound familiar? Yep. Well, this week Vick and Deshaun Jackson are taking on San Francisco, while Harvin takes on Kansas City. There's some pretty good matchups there for him, actually. Steve Smith versus Chicago isn't great, but it'll do. Adam, who's quickly amassing one of the worst starting lineups in the entire league. This week he has Bo, Jordy Nelson, and Denario Alexander helping out Ryan. Blech. Matt Ryan, MJD, and Witten are basically the only people on this entire roster that are startable. With Run DMC basically on a tear lately, I think this is all just way more than Adam's going to be able to handle this week. Adam says he's rebuilding. I sure hope he's right. So right now he just looks like he's sucking. Should be a pretty vicious cockfight between Nate, James, and Adam, though, for that first pick next year. Last but not least, we have Mavericks taking on KC Reunited. Welcome to our marquee matchup of the week. Will Sean be the first to take Dan down a peg or two? Let's take a look. Brady's probably going to get into a shootout this week in Oakland, hopefully not in the parking lot. While Detroit has a good chance of getting up early on a beaten-up Dallas squad. Stevie Johnson came out and did work last week, torn up groin and all. So I expect him to do probably the same this week as well. Unfortunately, he's the only one that's even got a shot at keeping up with CJ, Fitz, and Dez. Sean's strength, though, has always been at running back. Mendenhall and Rice should be able to outpace Forte and Hillis. Clark versus Winslow at this point is just an abortion of a matchup at tight end. All in all, though, to be honest, I think this is going to be a good matchup between the two. I'm going to go ahead and predict that Sean takes Dan down a peg or two off that pedestal, if for no other reason than the fact that Jamie can't possibly be the only team that can take out Dan.
Wrap it up. Wrap that shit up, B.
Well, that's going to do it for us this week. Tune in next week to see if the Oracle goes 5-0 again.